All right, so
good afternoon, Pop Tim. The time is noon.
My AI is talking to me. But anyway, because I wanted to record this so that because I can use it once again. But anyway, exactly right. So now, I'm recording it now. So one, so that I can get the notes, because last week, those that missed, I kind of explained the connection between AI and, because they say artificial intelligence. Elder Tony always said, ever since I've been using AI, he always talked about African intelligence. And if we look at the historical framework and if we look at it through our eyes, we can show and prove the connection between this binary code system that they use and African divination. In fact, we can launch the argument that they actually got the binary code system from our culture. Because it's nothing but divination. That's all it is. Every time you type in a prompt, you're basically throwing down a question to a, what they call them, to a diviner. And a diviner, because it understands the language, is able to throw back the words that you need. But we operating and being scared of it, when in fact it's nothing but our science being used. Now let me get back to what I was talking about. So the power of time and space. How do we do it? So I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna work through that. The next point I want to talk about the trap of form mythology, and what I was trying to cover with that was the current Western systems and realities we navigate are built upon mythologies and fantasies that have been subjected to since conception. Operating within this foreign framework severely distorts our perspective on everything from beauty to health and wealth. We know this. But we operate as if it's not real. We have turned a lot of this stuff and made it normal. I just had an argument with my daughters this morning. Being younger, I worked, and I ain't not worked, but I played football, so I had to take showers with these white folk, right? You know, we share showers. And in the military, I had to share showers. When I was in college and I lived in the dorms, I had to share showers. And one of the things that I noticed about living with them and living with us is that I never had an issue with the drains being clogged up every 3 months. Because their hair is very loose and it falls out. But my daughters got all this goddamn weave. Every other month I got to go on and try to, and I'm telling my daughters, going back to the form mythology, the fantasy, right? We believe that their shit is better than ours. And we have, not only because what it is when you try to argue a belief, you never win. See, because it's so deeply ingrained that we have to figure out other ways to do it. And one of the ways to do it is to start using our own mythology. And the question I asked last year, and I asked the year before, and I'm going to ask when I do whatever I do in August, what is the mythology for our people and for us here at Tawi? One of the first things that I created when I did Giame, because coming through college and understanding the power of myth, right? Going through church, excuse me, Pastor, and understanding the power of myth, right? Looking at grown men argue about who and participate in some argument. Could Batman beat Superman, and actually almost come to fisticuffs about that shit? I understand the power of myth. We have people who are fighting over beliefs and things that are not even, in a sense, not real. They are lessons, right? But because they believe them, you can't change their mind. And what we have been trying to do, we have been trying to change their mind, and we're trying to use logic and reason when mythology does not rely on logic and reason. So when we're talking about Tawi, right, what is the image that pops up for Tawi? What is the ultimate Tawi member? When we talk about Heru, Heru was the ultimate of manhood. Aset represented the ultimate of motherhood. Right? Each one of those deities represented qualities that the individual that was supposedly either worshiping them or knowing the myths was trying to activate. What are the legends, the myths, and the things that we're trying to live up to? And are they even ours? Because let me tell you something about white myth. It always falls out to violence. I want you to even look at our stuff. When we look at our stuff, right? We got Heru is about to kill Set, and he is stopped by the gods and told that, hey, you can't kill him because he's your family. We find this over and over again. Let's go over to their myth. Shit. I mean, really. Let's go and let's look at the violence. Let's look at the beginning of their mythology, the mythology that most of us we follow, but we don't even understand that we're following it, when their whole pantheon was the result of violence. A father being castrated by his son because the father ate the children, because the father didn't want to be replaced by the children. This is the mythology that sets the framework for their culture. And since we are involved and enveloped in their culture, this is the framework out of which we operate. For example, we'll say shit like human nature. It's human nature to be greedy. It's human nature to be. That's not our nature. Until we ran into them, our children were not born in sin. They became sinful by choices that they made against the collective. But when we got with them, we immediately come here wrong. I want you to think about the reality that we're dealing with. So when we start talking about living in Nguzo Saba, we have to ask questions, especially as elders. What myths and stories and legends of individuals that we know and the mythic ones that we don't? And I really understood the power when one day, because like at Simba Camp, I've been talking about it for years. At Simba Camp, I would take the young people that I've been working with for years. And in Giambi, one of the first things that they are taught, especially with the young dudes they're more strict with it than I am. The first thing that they teach them is the mythology of how Giambi came about. It was founded by a dude by the name of G, who was in a sense betrayed by his father and his brother. Right? Now, so I'm sitting up here, I'm telling the story, and I'm making sure, no, it's not real. And we have to be clear about this. This is a model. This is an idea, something that you can work on to make yourself better, something that you can strive for as an individual, right? So one of my young men went into the sweat lodge, and he came out the sweat lodge and he said to me, Brother Hatim, I saw G. I said, oh shit. No, G-Y-E. That is, and it's simple, he's surrounded by Jesus. No, it's so. But when he went into the sweat lodge, because he was exposed to the mythology that I had created for our organization to help give a model of what the man is supposed to look like and what he's supposed to do and and how he overcomes, he went into the sweat lodge because he had been immersed with our stuff and came out and said, I saw G. I said, oh, you did? What'd he say? What'd he look like? You know what I'm saying? Because the whole point is we're trapped in a form of mythology, and it goes so deep that each of us are, in a sense, plugging into their stuff every day. When we say Monday, we're plugging into their stuff. When we say Tuesday, we're plugging into their stuff, and we're calling their ancestors or their mythic ancestors. Ancestors are ancestors regardless. And when you call on them, they become present. So when I'm talking about Tuesday, rather than Kuji Chagalia, I'm calling on them. When I say Kuji Chagalia, I'm calling on you. I'm calling on our ancestors. I'm speaking the language that they speak. Part of a nation is stable, historically developed community of people with territory, economic life, distinctive culture, and a what in common? Language in common. And the thing that helps shape that language is also the mythology. And we miss out because we're trying to convince our people with statistics and numbers. Listen, white supremacy is not supported by any statistics or the idea, white narcissism, but the idea of white supremacy is not supported by a goddamn decimal. It's not supported by any of that. It's not even supported by history. Because y'all babies, we can look at the history and we can paint the history for y'all knew, but according to them, they the beginning of it all. Don't even need facts. You even watch it on their children. Their young children will walk in like they own everything. Because it's the mythology that they've been fed. What mythology are we building? What mythology are we teaching? What principles are we instilling and how are we instilling it? Every day you pick up the paper, you're reading about their world from their perspective. We need documents, we need thoughts, we need that energy going out every day to form our mythology, to form our worldview. Because we have to reinforce it because that's what they do with theirs. Even though they are on top of the world, they continue to do it. And then you can even see how powerful it is because right now the great pumpkin will sit up here and tell a bold-faced lie and keep on telling it until I ain't gonna say everybody, until the majority of the people that's with him will believe it. I ain't saying we got to become liars, but we do need some myths. We do need some stuff to make our young people feel good and want to be part of us. What they have now, right? Why you think they go to these gangs? They got mythic members in the gangs. They got legends in the gangs. They got all that stuff. Come on now. Sports. They're following legends. They're following people who were able to do incredible things on the football field. I'm sorry. The next one was the necessity of Africentric mythos. Nations are built on foundational myths, not just sterile facts. Therefore, to build and sustain our own community, we cannot just argue beliefs against their system. We must boldly construct our own. And Nguzo Saba was a step towards that. Boldly building our own. But it's on us to take the Nguzo Saba above and beyond where it is now. Because it's not enough for us to just talk about it on Kwanzaa. We need to be having conversations about it daily. And I'm going to get to that. I'm going to stop in a second so that if y'all got conversation, y'all can. But then I'm going to do a demonstration for y'all. All right. But anyway. Redefining territory. A true nation requires a territory to develop its economic life. Because the economic life that I talk about in that definition only comes about when you have a territory. So we have to redefine territory and look at where we are able to pull off our economic life. Because this internet that we're meeting on right now, although it's controlled by the enemy, does provide us with a territory that we can own. Especially with some of the stuff that they're doing now. You know what I'm saying? Because they done lost control of it. They don't. We got young people who know how to get through all this stuff. We got some young people that if you was really to look at them and try to look them up, they don't even exist. That's how good they are with this. They don't even exist. So we need to redefine the territory, right? So that we could go on and extract the resources, because it's the territory that a people are able to build their community, their cities, and their nations on. There's some type of stable, there's something that they are able to pull up out of that territory. Whether the territory is actually physical or whether that territory is actually a mental thing. There's energy there. This whole, our spiritual practice, there's energy there. Is it feeding us? Is it feeding us? Some of the practices, some of the things we're doing, are they feeding us? Do I leave not only being able to be emotionally feeling good, but is somebody, at least somebody in our community, are they, you know what I'm saying? Because now, let me sideways a little bit. We need to get to the point where, as a community, we are able to find the experts. For example, one of the things that always bothered me is that we will always tell people, you need to do your own research. And I know for this group, it's heresy for me to say, I don't think we need to do that. Because this is the point. I can study as much history as I want. But if I was to be sat down in a room with Greg Carr and I read a book every day for the next 15 years, and me and Greg sitting in the room together, I need to shut the fuck up and let Greg go on and run that class. Because I don't have the expertise or the desire to be like that. Now, we do the same thing with politics. You need to do your own research on your politics. Tiandra called me on voting day. And she said, Elder, how we voting? I said, damn, you know what? We never had discussions in Tawi about how we as a group are going to start harnessing our votes and even putting out tickets, even if nothing but the 30 of us get them, putting out tickets, telling people this is why you should vote for this. Because really, our votes are, in a sense, our territory. And we just allowing anybody to harness it any way they want. Come on, fam. I'm just saying. All right. But anyway, redefine the territory. Learning how to put on our nation builder and our elder glasses and really start looking at things. Right? Really start looking at them. It's a territory here that we need to protect and that we're able to draw resources from so that we can feed ourselves. The Nguzo Saba as a living architecture. The 7 principles are a practical structure for building life, managing resources. The foundation of the struggle begins with faith and culminates at the very top with the capstone of unity. Regardless how you use it, the way that I teach the young people to use it is you start, faith is, in Nguzo Saba go up and down, faith is the foundation. You start with faith and you work up. Faith gives Kuumba the spark. Kuumba gives the purpose of the spark. Then you go through Ujima and Ujima. Then you move into Kujichagulia, and Umoja is the final step. What is our philosophy for using Nguzo Saba to become successful in life? Rather than having our young people go out here and listen to Les Brown, God bless him, and all these hustle porn people that's out here doing it, we need to go and start structuring and having conversations with our young people about how the Nguzo Saba can make them successful. And in many cases, many of us, we can use where we are in our lives to kind of use that as the model. Well, you're not rich. I'm not homeless either. You know what I'm saying? And then again, once again, this goes into defining. All right, young person, tell me what you mean by rich. Well, you ain't got $1 million. I said, check this out. Okay, I don't have $1 million. I got you. All right. So if I like cats and I had 1 million cats, would you be proud of me? How about newspapers? I got a house full of papers, right? Well, I like news. You know what I'm saying? No, you would call me a hoarder, right? We look at a lot of these rich people. They have found a way to make a hoarding practice look like something heroic. What the hell do you need $1 billion of anything for? When you're existing in a country like this, but we don't have these type of conversations. Because really, when it comes down to it, when it came to the Africentric piece, a lot of the political shit was scooped out. Because I asked y'all a long time ago, I said, how many of our historians are actually locked up or were locked up? They didn't lock up the tradition. They locked up the reason. The tradition was cool because traditionally we're going to go along to get along in many cases. We're going to spend more time studying what happened back then rather than looking at what's going on now. That's cool. But when those young people start picking up books and started learning that there's other economic systems, there's other things that we could be doing, this stuff is crazy, they start putting them away for life. And we got to understand, we are able to, not for them to be put away for life, but we have the tools to spark that energy in our young people again. Because revolution is a young person's game. I aged out. I aged out 20 years ago. I aged out. The fractal time system. To break away from the calendar based on foreign mythologies, because our calendar is based on foreign mythologies. We can look at Monday, Moon Day, Tuesday. Tuesday is Greek, and he or she is the god or goddess of war. Wednesday is Wotan's Day, or Norse. It's Wotan, is Odin. You would know him as Odin. Thor is Thor's Day. Friday is Freya. So we got the whole damn pantheon. A mother, father, and son sitting in from a whole nother tradition that if we was to talk about it for real, people would be like, you devil worshiping. But you got people screaming, it's Thursday. It's Thursday. We just changed the words to make it sound palatable. We got Saturday, which is Saturn's Day. Then, of course, Sunday is Sunday. Right? So I can work with sun and moon. But all that other stuff, that ain't us. But yet we call on it all the time. And when you start calling on those energy, guess what happened? Just like when we pour libations. When we pour libations, a lot of people don't realize our ancestors show up. So what happens when we call on our enemies, like our enemies' ancestors? You know, they show up and show out, right? So I went through that real quick. I could do a demonstration for you, but I could pause it right here for a second and open it up for questions or comments. And then if y'all got a couple minutes, I'll run through something and demonstrate what I'm doing. Together. All right. So what those that don't know what I'm doing right now, I am recording my show. Now, what I'm recording for is tomorrow, because I always record. I ain't gonna say always, but in this way that I'm doing it, I record in the future, because I'm wanting to deal with the future, right? Because we've been dealing with the past long enough. You know what I'm saying? Present, right, and the future. So here we go. So now, the first thing I start this off with is I start off with some kuumba, right? So I'm gonna just share some stuff with y'all that I wrote while I was going through my notes to prepare to work with y'all today. So I have 3 haikus. I usually start the show with 3 haikus to show that I'm practicing the principle. So here's the haiku that I came up with. 3 haikus that I came up with today. What do we stand on? Cultural territory is key to freedom. Now that's a haiku. Now for those that don't know, I wrote a book years ago called Freedom Within Limits, right? Because one of the things that writing haiku has demonstrated to me is that you don't need a lot of space to do something incredible. So within 17 syllables, I'm able to talk about whatever I want to. So next one. So we kind of talked about this today. What do we stand on? That's 5 syllables. Cultural territory is key to freedom. Next one. Today, Sabayet. They who cannot control space and time. No, they who control space and time owns your life and mine. That's a haiku. Next one. We have taken past, but left children in present. Giving up. Giving up. I can't read my own writing. Giving up something. Giving up future. That's it. That's fine. Giving up future. Yep. We have taken past, but left children in present. Giving up future. We kind of spoke about that too, right? We got to stop giving up and ceding our territory. And our time is one of our territories. All right, now, but anyway, so now let's get into the show. Here's the official one for the show. Every show I have an official haiku, usually drawn from a book or something that I wrote. It says, one thread binds us all, standing tall with ancestors, faith reveals our bond. So now, let me explain this. So tomorrow, what's the day tomorrow? Can somebody tell me the day tomorrow? Right. No, it's a moja. It's a moja. It's May 5th, my fault. It's May 25th, 2026. So now, here's how we look at it, or here's how the goal for us. We're moving into an Emoja day. It's going to be the week of Amani in the cycle of Ujima in the year of, 'Ujima. Now, saying all that to say this. 'Ujima, in the year of 'Ujima. Now, saying all that to say this. 'Ujima, in the year of 'Ujima. Now, saying all that to say this. 'Ujima, in the year of 'Ujima. Now, saying all that to say this. 'Ujima, in the year of 'Ujima. Now, saying all that to say this. we have a tool where we are able to not only look at the principle of the day, but also look at the principle of the week. The principle of the week is the larger principle that we need to work on. So the principle we're going to be working on next week is Imani. So now we're going to look at how Imani and Umoja work together. So what this is giving us an opportunity to do is a mental exercise with our principles. So now, here is the write-up. Hello? Somebody, happy birthday. Who that? All right, thank you. So first off, starting our greeting tribe closer, I go through my whole thing. Today we step into the sacred intersection where the cosmic calendar aligns with the day Umoja. Within the profound week of Imani, to understand this moment, we must look through the eyes of an Africentric worldview and ask ourselves, how can we possess absolute faith if we continue to view ourselves as isolated fragments? The ancestral algorithm reminds us explicitly, I am never alone, I am a manifestation of a thousand ancestors. So now, with me getting into studying these principles, I started looking at other things. So I run into some shit called Adlerian psychology or some shit like that, right? And in there, they wasn't talking about what's the positive sayings you say every day. They had a different word for it. I can't remember what they called it. But I said, damn, we need something that we could say on a daily basis that aligns with the principles. So I came up with what I call ancestral algorithm. So the ancestral algorithm for tomorrow is, I am never alone. I'm a manifestation of 1,000 ancestors. So now, boom, just from studying and constantly looking at this stuff every day, I'm like, dang, we need key phrases that we could plug into every day. Now I'm gonna finish this up and then I'm gonna end it real quick. But anyway, yeah, too many of us are walking around this modern wilderness operating under the illusion of radical isolation. We have been conditioned to believe that our survival depends entirely on individual grinding, hyper competition, and accumulation of outward validation. The Haitian proverb, now, the crystallized wisdom, that proverb, here you go. The Haitian proverb says, a heavy truth on our heads, lays a heavy truth on our head. A beautiful funeral does not guarantee heaven. I said, damn. All right. Think about that deeply, brothers and sisters. When we spend so much mental energy wrapping ourselves in the expensive fabric of illusions, fancy titles, superficial status, and corporate validation, hoping it creates a veneer of security, but it is nothing more than a beautiful funeral. It is an outward show masking inner emptiness. True security doesn't come from doing more or collecting more noise. It comes from what we are willing to share. To experience a mind through the lens of Umoja means we must consciously scrape away the buildup of hyper-individualism. We have to drop the exhausting weight of trying to survive as a solitary unit. In the sacred text of the Seven Sticks, the Old Man Millennium, this is a book that I wrote years ago, teaches his children that a single stick is easily snapped with a quick gesture. But when those 7 sticks are bound together by the twine of interdependence, they become an unbreakable force. Hyper-individualism is a false treasure that does not strengthen us. It must be completely released. Our ancestors did not survive the Middle Passage, the Ma'afa, or the structured madness of American wilderness by fighting for single-yard victories. They survived because their Imani was anchored in Umoja. They knew that the divine spark within the brother was the exact same divine spark within the sister. Like G in the ancient myth, we must be willing to face our own internal fires and let the false shell burn away. G had to witness his physical form bow before his true transformed self to step into the real mastery. We must strip away the blame, shame, and guilt that keeps us hiding in the caves of mediocrity. Today, let us practice via negativa, approach to self-mastery. Do not add more tasks to your schedule. Instead, cut the noise of internal division. Release the false narratives that you have to figure my fault. Release the false narratives that have to figure this out completely on your own. True faith is the realization that you are already woven into a magnificent multi-generational tapestry of power, resilience, and joy. When you stand in that unified faith, the illusion of fear vanishes, and the path to our collective greatness becomes crystal clear. As you move through these ideas, through this day, be still in the present moment and absorb this truth. You are a manifestation of 1,000 ancestors. Walk like it. Now, I'm going to stop right there. What did I do? Anybody, what did I do? Right. Now, but I did what was called a newscast. Instead of talking about what these white folks is talking about, I'm talking about us. I'm talking about, because in there, not only do I have a proverb, I have a positive. We have to begin to immerse ourselves in the cloth of our culture so that we could be protected from the madness out here. And if we are not planting our feet into it every day, as many times a day as we can, we just playing games. And we're not even playing the game to win. We cosplaying. We have to be willing to immerse ourselves into what's ours and into our view and be firm in it. And with that, I'm gonna stop. Because y'all already know I could talk and talk and talk. Thank you.